What's going on, y'all? Let me back this up a little bit. Okay, this is a video about my life testimony. There's going to be several parts of this, so I want everybody to hear the several parts of this situation, my book, my life testimony. Very tough, very hard. Let's start off with April 1st, 1985. April 1st, 1985. Everything was all good. Probably it's the greatest day ever in the world because I came into the world. I was born to my mother, Sandra Vaughn Davis, and my father, George Roland Davis. April 1st, 1985. I always say I'm the best anniversary present that they ever had because their anniversary is 3 days after my birth. 3 days after my birthday was April the 4th. That's why I always say that. I was born in Old Williamsburg Community Hospital, which is now torn down. There's nothing there. I think there's a bunch of shops there now. And with me being born there, everything was love. They took me back to Matthews County, Virginia, which is where they were staying at that moment in time. I only can remember very few things about Matthews County. I can remember my cousin, Jonathan, that was stayed right next door to us for a while. I remember going over there playing Nintendo, playing basketball with him and everything, and stuff. I can also remember, me going over to my grandmother's and grandfather's and my great uncles and aunt's house. They stayed within the same neighborhood. They actually own a whole road, which they still do to this day. And my great grandfather was right next door to my grandfather. And I used to go over there. He used to have ginger snaps. I used to smoke his pipe. He outside smoking ginger snaps and pipe because Miss Josephine, which was his wife at that moment in time, didn't like him smoking in the house, so he had to smoke on the porch. So I would go over there and I would talk to him. And that was my great grandfather, and I had a nice and privilege to know him for such a long time. Then next door to him was my great uncle and my great aunt Inez Jr. Junior, which all the men in our family are strong. We have natural strength. But Junior's probably, at one point in time, looked at him as one of the, I looked at him, I looked at my dad, and looked at all my great uncles and stuff like that as the strongest men I've ever seen in my life. And they used to stay there. And then across the street from them was my great uncle, one of my great uncles, and my great aunt Mary Ellen and Randolph. We never called him Randolph because he has a nickname. And I won't put that nickname out there. But I won't because people don't know what it is. So that's going to be in between us and the family, so I'm not going to say that nickname. It's funny. But yeah, growing up there for a little while, I was there for about 3 or 4 years. Growing up there, I loved it. It was amazing. I loved it. When we moved, I felt kind of sad because I think at the time my cousin was still staying next door to me. I used to play football out in the yard with him and another guy that I know named Patrick. Shout out to Patrick. When I put this on Facebook, I'm going to have to tag Tanya in it so that she let Jonathan hear me talk about it. I tell anybody this, my competitive spirit came from my cousin Jonathan. I was younger than them, and I wanted to fit in, and I wanted them to know that I could play just as hard as they could. We played football, we played basketball, we played Nintendo, we did all of that. And I wanted to show them that I could be competitive. Looking at them, looking at him and another one of my cousins, I looked at them in high school and I thought that they were high-profile athletes. I thought that I was actually going to a game to where they were pros and they actually make it. And I remember looking at them while they was in Matthews and going to Matthews High School, and I was like, I want to be out there with them. Like, I want to do what they're doing, because I look at them play football and play basketball, and I'm like, I thought that they had made it. Like, I'm thinking that they're getting paid because I'm young. And I'm like, yeah, let's take a sip of this water. So my competitive spirit and my will and determination came from my cousin Jonathan, mainly, and my cousin Jerry, because I knew they were big and I wanted to make it because of them. And I remember being that little, I wanted to do the same thing that they were doing. Being there was great, and then we moved to Gloucester. And I remember everything about where we stayed in Gloucester. That's when I started to comprehend and understand certain things, and dealing with my family. And there were a whole lot of good times there, and there were a few bad times there. My father, who was the absolute hardest on me as could be. It stemmed from that moment in time. I can remember a whole lot of stuff that he used to say to me, a whole lot of stuff he would do, and how he would lay me out. But he was trying to get me prepared for something. I know now. I definitely know now. In dealing with that, he wanted me to be prepared for the world and how the world was going to be at such a young age. And was he really tough? Yeah, he was really tough on me. My mother was she's still loving, still nurturing to this day. And, I can think about everything that she has said, everything she did, she has done for me in this day, and I can't thank her enough for it. She was the loving nurturer. My dad was the hardcore guy. No, do this. He was, and I tell a lot of people all the time, growing up at that age, my father taught me what to do and what not to do in certain circumstances. My father taught me, take care of home. If you have kids, take care of your kids, take care of the bills. Take care of the wife and make sure everything else is all good. With that, and with meaning to handle business. And don't get me wrong, my father had fun. He enjoyed himself, but sometimes I really think that he really didn't enjoy himself the way he wanted to enjoy himself. At times. I think that before him, at that moment in time in our lives, I knew that he knew how to love because he loved my mother, but I didn't know that he knew how to love us. Um, it was a very rough time. I can remember one time in my life, this is one of the things that I remember not to do. My mom had to go to Hardee's. She wanted to get him something. He wanted to get something from Hardee's to bring it back. We wanted something. My mom just went ahead and got something anyway. And I remember my dad was so angry at the moment in time that he basically tore up the kitchen door in the house that we were staying in. Messed his hand up and everything, and he had to end up getting the door fixed because my mom brought us food from Hardee's, and he didn't like it. Because all he wanted was food for himself, and he could end up doing everything else with the money that he could do with, and we could just eat something from home. That's what he was thinking. That's one thing he taught me not to do, was to get that angry and that frustrated with my significant other, my kids, just that overall anybody. Now, I've had that anger anyway, and I had to learn I did dial myself back from that. But that was one of the main things that he taught me, was to not do that. It is very tough for me to say it. Now, there was some good times, there was some bad times. I can remember an argument, and my mom had an argument. He pushed my mom up against the wall when they were arguing. And I remember that. And that was some things that he told me, and that he actually showed me what not to do with my significant other. To be so mad that you could do that, or to be so mad that you could break up your own stuff, really taught me not to do certain things. So, in dealing with that matter, just growing up, just being younger before 13 years, everything was good, everything was alright. I still had that competitive spirit, that competitive spirit, and the will and determination to be what I could be in this world. And I kept playing sports, played sports when I was younger. And this is the crazy part about it. Like, there was a lot of kids that were playing like youth football, and they were playing, Parks and Rec League basketball at a young age and all that. Do you know that I really didn't start playing organized basketball until 7th, 8th grade? Like, I remember the rules. My dad would tell me stuff. You can't take no more than 2 steps, to step, whatever, to go up for a layup or anything like that. So, not to carry the ball, all of this stuff, palming and doing all that. I know all of that. I just knew that. Now, any of the other rules, I didn't know. And a lot of people didn't know that I started playing ball until then. So, that was an amazing part. That was an amazing factor of that. And when I got up to become a free team, I knew that I could be good. I knew that I could be great because people that I played with, in school when we always played football, we played basketball in the gym or whatever. They were like, Chris, you're really good. So it just came to me naturally. It was already genetically inclined. And with me, I wanted to be great because my cousins were great, and I looked at them as being great athletes. And things. I enjoyed going to school. I enjoyed three things at that time. Being in my younger years, from the time I was born to when my preteen years was when I was in 6th grade. I enjoyed sports. This is something crazy, I enjoyed school because, I had a lot of friends. But I also enjoyed going with my father to work. My father was a logger. We would say he's a lumberjack. He owned his own business with my grandfather and my uncle. And I loved that. And I said to myself back then, and it was a plan of mine back then, and the plan switches up. I said, if I don't make it as a professional athlete, I will always come back home and continue the logger business with my father. And in a way it kind of sort of worked that way, and in a way it didn't. That's a story for another time. I'm going to cut this short right now because I'm basically done with the earlier years of me in dealing with my life testimony. The next video I will put up, which probably will be in another 2 days or so, is about me and my preteen and teenage years and how I was back then. For anybody that's watching this video, thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and hit that little bell on the side so you can get other notifications. All right, peace.